Hello ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a patch rundown and impressions. We're just going to jump right into it. Patch 10.7. Playoffs is going to be played on 10.6 in most regions. I don't know how it's going to look like in the LPL and LCK, but in the LCS and LEC, we're going to have 10.6. So it's the Wukong patch. Wukong is disabled for those who are wondering. No Fiddlesticks either, because Fiddlesticks is going to be released now on 10.7, as far as I know. So those questions are out of the way. I also played Twitch Rivals. We got pounded 0-3. Tomorrow we play some more. Hopefully we can reverse it. We are activating our inner fanatic. Still in quarantine. Nothing has changed. Stay safe, wash your hands. And yeah, let's just jump into patch 10.7. Hello, my children. Welcome to 10.7. Yeah, we're not reading that. We're not reading that. Oh, Momcat is here now. Momcat. Momcat. Okay, Momcat is here. Okay. Alright, buffed. Akali, Corki, Galio, Ivern, Xin, Riven, Nasus, Kai'Sa. Why is Akali getting buffed? Why is Corki getting buffed? Why is Galio getting buffed? I guess Galio is pretty lame in the mid lane. It's pretty terrible. Ivern definitely needs a buff because ever since his jungle changed, right, where the camps spawn quicker is going to be worse for Ivern. The more valuable each and every camp is, the better. Ivern doesn't get the tiny little bros on the golem. So even if they just change that, where Ivern gets the small ones when he saves the golems, that would be already like a really big change for Ivern. The issue is with Ivern, when he takes Raptors, when he takes any type of camp, it's just worse for him than it used to be because every camp is less valuable. Xin doesn't see a lot of play because the other junglers are just better, any shape or form. Maybe Hail of Blades buff is good for him, but honestly, Hail of Blades buff for jungle didn't really make a difference, right? Because it's more about the lane and the fact that you have Halo Blades and you can hit the creeps and you're still in combat and it doesn't go off cooldowns. You get to use it in multiple scenarios and fights. That's pretty huge. That's really big. Nasus we don't care about. Garen, Nocturne, Talon, Wukong nerf. Well, last patch note 10.6 I said Wukong is so broken, like I could see it miles away, right? I was giggling and shitting my pants right here in the same chair. I cleaned it, don't worry, no problem, right? Wukong definitely does a nerf. Garen, a low elo nerf. I'm sad that he's getting more and more nerfs because honestly I think Garen was approaching that point in time where he could actually be played in competitive. So sad panda there. Nocturne, most likely Nocturne mid. Nocturne mid, a lot of people like to complain about it. Talon as well, same. Solo Q nerf, soft Q nerf. Wukong hopefully doesn't reach a point where he plays competitive ever because this champion is disgusting. But the design is cool. The design is cool. I can admit that. The W, it requires some skill. It is a unique design, so I think from a design point of view it's interesting, but definitely the numbers maybe need a bit tweaking, so it's interesting. I hope they don't ruin any type of combinations you can do with this champ. Skins: Fury Horn cosplay Veigar, Pengu cosplay Tristana, Pajama Guardian cosplay Urgot. Worldbreaker. Honestly, they are definitely world breakers. I got hit by a fucking Titanic Hydra Scion, and this item is disgusting on this champion, especially like you're laning bottom and then all of a sudden Scion 200 CS 0-0-1 maybe with an assist, he comes and one-shots you. So it's Scion is in fine state, but I don't know why I'm talking about these champions. Pajama Guardian cosplay Urgot. This can't be real, right? This can't be real. This is a thing. Pajama Guardian cosplay Urgot. Oh, it's actually Pajama Guardian cosplay Urgot. This is a thing? What? Okay. Well, okay. Alright. Great. Pre-made balance and ranked. As we mentioned last patch, we've been working on some matchmaking improvements like autofill balance to make sure that each game of League feels as fair as possible. With this follow-up change, we'll be attempting to make sure that when one team in a solo duo game has a duo, the other team should have one as well. This change will only be applying to ranked solo duo for right now. We'll be looking into adding it to flex and normal game, but since pre-mades can be all of different sizes in those modes, making them equivalent across teams can be much more complicated. Once we've had a chance to see those changes live, we'll try to expand to queues with different group sizes. Okay. Is the autofill thing already in place? I hope so. Fiddlesticks, we already spoke about Fiddlesticks. His damage numbers is, is Fiddlesticks viable and competitive? Is Fiddlesticks viable in solo queue? Is Fiddlesticks OP? I need the numbers. I know the numbers are on PBE, but before I get the numbers in my hand and they're actually in the game, I'm not going to waste my time with forming an opinion. I think Fiddlesticks is an interesting design. We'll have to wait and see. You can see my my impressions in the Fiddlesticks video that I did in the previous one. Okay, let's move on. Akali, our cooldown decreased. My goodness, this is huge. This is huge, huge, huge. 20 seconds of rank 1 Akali ultimate. People are already playing this champion. It is slowly sneaking back in. Flex potential. Mid lane it seems decent. Perks has been playing it. We've been seeing it in top lane, in the LCK. We saw it in top lane in the LPL. This champion is in a fine state and people are getting adjusted to it, finding the place of it in the meta. Our cooldown down is huge. 20 seconds rank 1 is humongous. The key thing about Akali now and the changes is that she relies on presence of mind stacks in order to have a decent amount of energy for the all-in, and she relies on ultimate to do anything at all, right? So every ult cooldown, it's important that you get something out of it when you play Akali. We saw Perks, he was getting that solo kill on Azir, Senna ult came in, boom, it was versus Schalke, no fear, right? With this being said, this is a very, very big buff. 20 seconds is huge because, as I mentioned, it's all about those ult cooldowns, what you do of your ultimate, and this means you get more ultimates per game. More ultimates per game means more opportunities to snowball. Snowballing is nice. Let's continue. Very, very big buff. I think Akali was in a state where people had to figure it out. This is going to be very, very nice. I like this buff as an Akali player myself. W direct hit burn duration increase. Special delivery. Corki's been having fun, but can still afford another small one. Well, this package, it's such a weird buff, okay? It's such a weird buff because the package is already absurdly OP, right? You're buffing Corki. It's like, you know, let's say a man he needs water, food, money, housing to survive, right? He needs money to buy the blah, blah, blah. Let's just say he needs these 4 resources for some reason. I understand someone's going to be blah, blah, blah. You don't need money to survive. You get my point. He has 4 resources. And let's say Corki, he has so much water. He is just swimming in water. That's not his issue. He needs some nutrition. He needs some of that food. And they're just giving him more water. What's he going to do with more water? Corki, in a situation where he had package, is already strong. So this is not going to change him. This is just going to make his package way more OP. It's going to reach a point in time where you like, just put Corki on support every 5 minutes, and at 8-minute mark, we're just going to win the fight because Corki package is too OP. It could get that ridiculous, right? This is huge. 2 seconds burn instead of the initial 1 second. It means that when you walk into the W or Corki W is over you with his Valkyrie when he has special delivery, it means you're going to burn for a very long time, and also you're going to be slowed for a very long time. The damage is bigger, the slow is longer. This is just buffing Corki's strength. We saw some Corki already in pro play. He was approaching a point where he's going to get picked more and more. And I think we had a fine balance. I don't know why they're trying to shoehorn Corki in, but okay. The buff is not going to be game-changing. It's not going to be game-changing. It's not going to change the meta in any shape or form. So okay, Corki buff, okay. Give him an additional 0.5% win ratio. That's fine. I think that's how they're viewing the Akali buff as well. But I think this is quite huge for great Akali players. Galio. Arno grants a magic damage shield to all allies in the area. I don't know why I'm reading it like this. I don't know. Hero's entrance. Now grants E, Shield of Duran's passive magic damage shield to all allied champions in the area. He casted all. The key thing here is all. So you can definitely see a world where like, oh, Galio ultimate against Rumble ultimate. This is pretty big. This is pretty big. Like the W shield is not that small, right? The W shield is not that small. So let's take a look here. Galio. Galio. Where is Galio? Galio Wiki. Galio Wiki. Galio Wiki. We scroll down. W. Upon learning Shield Duran or not taking anti-magic bulwark. Maximum health. Magic damage shield is 20% of his maximum health. Okay. So let's think of the scenarios where Galio is getting picked in competitive, right? It's usually with the funnel Senna. That's when we've seen it. We've seen it a couple of times in mid lane, maybe with Akali showing up more. Maybe people are going to play Galio mid lane, or maybe Galio into Rumble could work, something like this. Nevertheless, it's an interesting buff because the key word here is all allied champions. So you can get some decent shields off. The key thing still is this is not something that is going to, you know, it could be something that could be used as a counter into some specific champions that rely on like big AoE damage. The first thing that comes to mind is of course Rumble, or maybe I don't know, like Like, or I don't know, I can't think of other AoE champions than Rumble. I just see Rumble when I try to think of it. But nevertheless, could be used in these scenarios. It's quite a decent buff. I think it's quite a decent buff. But the key problem always with every champion is how strong are they in the lanes in the current meta. In bottom, Galio struggles unless he's getting funneled, right? He can farm with Q. He has no reason to push forward, right? He doesn't need to all in, and then he gets a lot of gold and he's juicy. Especially in that scenario, because you will have more HP naturally because you will have more gold. That's pretty cool. In mid lane, Galio struggles more often because think of the mid laners that people play, right? LeBlanc, people play shit like Pantheon, Rumble. These are matchups that are quite difficult for Galio, but I think it's maybe playable for Galio to be in some of these because you can always look to force 2v2. But ever since Flash got nerfed for Galio, his 2v2 got a lot worse because it's very predictable and you get countered by cleanse pretty much. You need to E and then chase him with W and you miss a lot of your damage already in that point in time. But Galio also got a buff on Q in some previous patches. He has another 0.5 seconds on the wind while he's chilling there. So I think Galio can maybe eventually reach a point where he is a part of the competitive sphere in a bigger capacity. I think this buff is very interesting. I think this is pretty big. I like it because it's all allied champions and there are some niche scenarios where this can be a game changer. So I like this. I thought it would be one champion, the person you target, but keep in mind that the Galio ult is humongous. It's humongous. And you can definitely find opportunities to play this. Garen, passive cooldown increased, Q movement speed duration decreased, early scales more later. Okay. Okay. So this makes, of course, Garen worse into a lot of range matchups. This is enough for the range matchups. If you can keep hitting him 8 seconds. I still think Garen remains relatively the same, especially with the 2 last nerfs. I think sometimes Riot tries to employ nerfs that pull down maybe 0.5% win ratio, maybe sometimes less. I think this is okay. You know, this is okay, as Ramos would say. This is whatever. We don't need to care about this so much. E base damage increased, R cooldown decreased. Wow, 20 seconds. E base damage 10. Ooh, 30 on max rank. Well, this is decent considering maxing E first. This is okay. I still would love the change where he just gets more value from the golems. That would make me very happy. More value from the golems. And then I think he would be in fine state. I think making some quality of life changes for Ivern is key because he's so liable to invades, and I think just ever since the camp spawned faster, that's just so awkward for Ivern. Ivern is an interesting champion because he gives multiple buffs to your team, and he is in a niche scenario where he can build specific items for your team, right? Rumble is like, for example, once again, Rumble. You can use Ivern as a champion that can rush Redemption, and all of a sudden Redemption, these support items are so powerful that you can actually use them in the early game, in mid-game fights around the Rift, around the Drake. So in situations where you have, for example, an Azir mid, usually control mages or something that, you know, basically needs to be forced on in order to fight 2v2, Ivern can be interesting there. I think these are interesting buffs. I don't think it's going to be like tremendous. I still think maybe Ivern can be picked into Karthus, maybe Ivern can be picked into Gragas and Sejuani. That could be still be very, very interesting, so look out for that. I think these buffs are quite neat. This is pretty big. 30 on the ability you want to max first. That is meaningful. And 20 seconds here, I like this too because it kind of sucked when Daisy died. Kai'Sa equal and decrease later. It's honestly, this is so fucking pointless. I don't know why they even bother to put this in the patch notes. I don't know if they want to increase their win rate by 0.1% because this is so many, right? How often do you reach the point in the game where you are level 18 with Kai'Sa? Very rarely, right? And you max E last, and this just means that, you know, it's whatever. But of course, after level 13, you're going to begin to feel this in some capacity. So of course, it's not something that you can ignore completely, but I don't think it's going to address. This is a very similar buff to the Corki buff, right? You're buffing Corki and Kai'Sa in situations they are already strong. If Kai'Sa reaches 3 items, she's better than most AD carries, but reaching 3 items is more difficult because she's going to lose lane against the Pharos, against the Misfortune, and so forth. So this buff doesn't change the stance of Kai'Sa. This is just to push her win ratio up a little bit. And this is something important to mention, right? Because a lot of the changes that Riot Games are doing for the game is to just push the win ratio just a little bit. And I like that a lot more than just throwing some numbers out there, see what sticks, and then nerf it completely down. So I'm very happy with this approach, you know? I'm very happy with this approach. W target range increased, E target armor reduction ratio increased. Wow, okay. So this is very nice. This makes Nasus a bit better against long range AD carries. This is cool. Armor reduction of Spirit Fire, 45%. Wow. Wow. Okay. The first thing that comes to mind here is Nasus jungle, right? Nasus jungle, wither distance is going to be longer. It means ganks are going to be easier. The tricky thing here is Nasus needs to max every spell. That's the tragedy of Nasus. He needs to max Q, he needs to max E, he needs to max W. Every point, every level that you get with Nasus is unbelievably strong for your kit. But the fact that you reduce already 25% armor on E is very, very big. And maybe we see Maokai as a kind of silly counter pick into some of these tanks that are showing up. Maybe you can pick it into Maokai, maybe you can pick it into Ornn. Obviously, you're going to be in gank trouble, but if you're left alone, your champion reaches a point in time where you have some points in E and W, you are quite a menace here. Everyone knows as AD carry, if you get withered by enemy Nasus, it's quite dirty. The problem always with Nasus is that he's a liability for such a long period in the game. And there are champions that can cross over better between the phases of the game, right? There is early game, mid game, late game. If we judge it from that point in time, Nasus only becomes active late and he's a liability early and mid. The TP pressure of Nasus is very low. The gank pressure is very, very low if you're playing jungle. He can get ganked very easily too, and then after a certain point in time, similar to like an Ilaoi, he kind of switches up the matchup, right? He shifts the matchup and can like begin to pressure. But if you give up and you bleed too much, then it might be tricky. Nasus for solo queue is quite neat. That's a different topic, but in competitive, maybe you can pick Nasus into Maokai and win quite early, especially if enemy team has a weaker jungler. Just with the pacing of the game, you know, imagine enemy bot, like let's say you have hard winning bot and top matchup doesn't matter too much, then it could be interesting, you know, as a weak side pick that scales into the game, because Wither and Spirit Fire, already these spells alone add a lot to the game. I know some people might ask Nasus support, I think is too weak. Nasus jungle and Nasus top is there if you want to do something. The tricky part about Nasus jungle is, I don't know, maybe with the Cinderhulk buff you can do something. It's just kind of weird because you apply with W and your Sunfire Cape kind of poofs, and in jungle you can't really apply the poof, right? Unless you can W jungle camps. I don't know if you can. Can you W jungle camps? Let's just see. I can't imagine it. What the fuck? Yeah, okay. That is disgusting. That is disgusting. Every website that does this, disgusting. We move on. I don't know. Write it in the chat. I am not going to go on wiki again. Base health regen and magic resist growth decreased. Okay, so this is a nerf to Nocturne. This is important because Nocturne usually tanks his lane as much as possible early. Magic, keep in mind this is a magic resist growth, right? So he loses, you know, the early levels of Nocturne are the most difficult ones because that is when you take the most amount of poke. After level 6 you want to rotate ult cooldown, you want to go and commit on the Zoe or whatever the hell you're playing, right? So the MR reduction matters, but the fact that it's growth, not flat, makes this a bit better for Nocturne. But health regen as well, a bit of a nerf. This is maybe, I don't know, a 1% nerf, right? Riven, base health and health regen increased, 5 HP, 1.5, okay, doesn't change the state of Riven. W, initial base damage decreased, return base damage decreased, damage ratio increased. So the question is, do you reach the benchmark now when you can one-shot the wave? That's the question always when changes like this happen. With a champion like Talon, you want to push as effectively as possible. And the turnover here, keep in mind, Wow, actually the damage early levels is really chunked. Wow. This is a lot of damage lost. So it's 30 damage, level 1. 30 damage, and then it becomes less and less. 30 damage, level 1. 30 damage, and then 25. And then 20, and then finally just 5 damage. So like when you are level 9, it's better, so Talon scales better, but early levels are much worse. Much worse. Like usually a lot of Talon players, they play around that W, and then if you screw up, they Q you, apply the rend, and then have a lot of kill potential, which is very difficult for noobs to deal with. So this is making playing against Talon more noob friendly, but it scales better. So like when he reaches the higher levels, this is going to pan out as better, right? 0.7 opponent stack damage is not, you know, it's not that big of a deal in terms of reaching the same gap, but this is definitely a nerf. This is in no shape or form a buff. This is a nerf. This is a nerf to Talon. This is rough. This is going to impact high-end Talon play, meaning like in solo queue, at higher ranks, Grandmaster Challenger, this is where this is going to hurt for all the Talon mains. This is a big chunk. Passive bonus armor decreased later, E-base damage decreased later, now allows W and R to be queued up during its dash. Wukong has been outperforming our expectations after his mini rework in 10.6. Just a max E last. Just give up and max E last already. Just do it, guys. Max E last. Just give up and max E last. Don't max E. Like this is Wukong is still really strong. This is not a big enough nerf to push him out of the game. Because the amount of armor he has in mid to late game, sure, it might be oppressive, but you reach a certain point in time where enemy AD carry still needs to buy a Last Whisper and buy certain items in order to kill you, right? So the reduction in armor here on the bonus armor nerf, still, of course it matters, you lose some survivability, but in the end, it doesn't change the course of the game in most situations. And this is a very nice quality of life buff, honestly. This is a nice quality of life buff. This is going to make it a lot easier to play the champ. We want to spruce up our warrior of Demacia by upping his durability and endurance through difficult fights. Conditioning is nerfed? Conditioning is nerfed. So the reason why I'm shocked, let's give LoLWiki another chance. Conditioning. Okay, this is a very broad topic. This is a very, very broad topic. Conditioning, LoLWiki. Conditioning, LoLWiki. LoLWiki. So the problem with conditioning is that it's on the same tree as Second Wind and Bone Plating. Two of some of the most OP masteries in the game. This is why you most of the time see people going Resolve. It changes matchups. Conditioning might be cool and all if you're playing an Ornn, you're playing a tank, and you can actually use the total armor and magic resistance buff by 5%. I don't know, maybe this is something that is frequently picked in. Conditioning has been overperforming, particularly for tanks and fighters. It should be a little more costly to one's early power for what it gives in the late game. Not only is it a fine choice for anyone, it's mandatory for tanks and fighters where it stands head and shoulders above any other single room. Maybe I just missed something. Maybe I'm just being grandpa, and this is a nerf that was justified. I'm going to trust Riot Games here on their numbers, and yeah. I am a big fan already of Second Wind and Bone Plating because they do so much for your lane phase. Bone Plating for all lanes and Second Wind for whatever else, right? Anything that is poke heavy, Second Wind you get a little value. But maybe conditioning was just low-key OP all the time because I've been in scenarios where I actually used conditioning and it felt really, really good. I will just trust Riot Games on this one. Movement speed for melee champions increased. Phase Rush remains suboptimal in melee champions, even for those who traditionally have opted into this kind of keystone, looking to make it more tempting for those folks. 40 to 60 on melee champions. Okay. Maybe we see some junglers play with Phase Rush, or I remember there was a time in the past where people play Phase Rush Echo, right? Because it's very easy, but you can against heavy slow teams, right? I don't know. I feel like just Nimbus Cloak is too OP, so you don't need Phase Rush. That's how I feel, you know? Nimbus Cloak is so goddamn OP. It is, you know, it's up there as one of the best masteries in the game, and I think that's enough. You know, I think Nimbus Cloak is enough for you to use in the jungle. You know, blue side, Nimbus Cloak, you jog after, so Phase Rush is quite the commitment. And then in terms of other champions that might use this, that are melee, I can't think of anything, honestly. Okay, these are one for all balance changes, around free-to-play changes, bug fixes, Christiana. Okay, we're done. Okay, this is real. It's actually real. Okay, they were not trolling. Alright, so this was my patch rundown. So to summarize, let's go back to the landing page. To summarize, I think Ivern buffs look interesting. I like them. I think this is Kai'Sa, Corki is whatever. Galio buff is very interesting. Akali buff is very big. I'm excited about Akali buffs. Wukong nerfs are not big enough. I think still spam Wukong. This champion is still really strong. And I think Ivern, Galio, Akali are the biggest changes. The Galio ult is super interesting. And we've been seeing Senna funnel with Galio, so maybe it will continue. Nasus for solo queue, honestly, quite decent buffs, especially into those dirty tank players where can you look to punish, because 45% reduction and 10 more range on W is honestly quite big. Especially, you know, early levels, the fact that you have 25% armor reduction on rank 1 already makes it very powerful, you know. It got buffed on every single rank, which is huge. I think Nasus E-buff is very nice. Zinza, whatever, Riven, whatever, Talon nerf, kind of rough, I think. Very big early nerf for Talon. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Sorry if I was a bit grumpy, man. I'm very hungry, honestly. Very, very hungry. If you watched all the way to here, God bless you, and God bless your face. If you sneezed, bless you. I hope you don't have corona. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.